Hello. Okay, so it's been a few days since since I did a video, and I've been thinking a lot about certain I would say spiritual issues, and I've been thinking a lot about spiritual issues for a while, ever since bad shit happened to me. I have to process the scenarios that have happened and that are going to happen. And forever ago, I was homeless, and I had I think a little bit too much Starbucks. I wasn't drunk. I am now getting there. First drink, and that's why I don't make videos unless I'm drinking. Um, there's the research and development phase of my life. There is the um, seeking insane amounts of punishment and pain scenario. And then there is the sitting back and having a drink and reiterating uh, all of that and processing. And I do that on camera because it's fun. And I get to have a little snapshot of me being totally uninhibited, hence the booze, and speaking my mind without any inhibitions, which is what alcohol does for me. It takes away my filters on what I present. And I always present away from everybody else because my lack of inhibitions usually is a, a bad thing in regards to people being near me. But I can do this completely by myself, alone, and be uninhibited, and then have a record of that, and keep that, and then post, the ones that I think are relevant and good, and delete or archive for my private viewing the snapshots and records of me being me, sans people and inhibitions. So I make a lot of these. Most of these aren't visible to people on my channel, and I'm sincerely hoping, that people pay attention sometimes when I decide to speak. And I'm also grateful that the people who shouldn't be watching me on YouTube don't, because it's a good thing that people aren't listening to me, because the things that I have to say normally are just me and for me and by me. And if somebody wants to be entertained or knowledged or offended, they can come visit me. If not, if you don't want me to say anything horrifying, which I don't think that what I say is horrifying, but it could be considered a bad thing. And my words could definitely uh, be not taken in a good way by some people, who have brains. Okay, so anyway, back to the scenarios. Now, forever ago, I had a backpack, my pooch, a blanket, and I think at that time I had a tablet. So, and I was at Starbucks because that's where homeless people go, who are smart. And they go to Starbucks and they chill because a lot of awesome people work and visit Starbucks, and they're always willing to help because if people can spend $3 or $4 on a cup of coffee, they normally can toss you $1 for some food, especially if you look just pathetic enough or whatever. Okay, so I had it had been a long day, um, of just thinking about, why God is responsible for this. And most of the time, and in most cases, and certainly in a high percentage of all cases, I'm responsible for myself. But I do have to give God some of the credit for the shit, the fucked up shit, and the wonderful shit that have happened to me. Regardless of my choices, there are pathways that I've taken that are ordained that I am supposed to take by divinity. And I'm using God here in a Christian sense because I was focusing on many types of divinity and many types of God. I'm a pantheist, so I can't ignore any aspect of divinity. And yet I was focusing on the Christian the Christian set of rules of divinity in those games. And I was thinking, okay, so who am I blaming? I can blame Jesus, who is awesome. I can blame God, separate from Jesus, who is awesome. I can blame the Holy Spirit, separate from God and Jesus, awesome. Or I can blame the devil, also awesome. So, who do I blame? So I went over because I'm not able to blame or put any kind of burden on an aspect of divinity unless I think about that divinity first and what that divinity's role is in my life. So I had to define, which I do regularly. I define God or aspects of divinity, and I update, just like a software program. I have the software Christian God exe, and I have Lucifer exe and I have Jesus exe, and I run those applications in my head, and I play the game, and then and after that game is played, otherwise known as defining and working shit out in that game, I either win or lose, or have an opinion on my success. I have a score. So, and I did that with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and then I did that with the devil. Now, it was really, really interesting because I had a lot of coffee that day, so I think I had like the game genie for that game. So, that episode, that level. And it was super fun. And I compiled all of the data that I had on Lucifer at that point. Now, there are a couple of really cool things that I know about Lucifer. First of all, if I'm correct, and I hope I will be corrected, there are a few names, actually there are many, many names for who we call Lucifer or Satan or anything. I don't ever call the devil or Lucifer Satan. That's a very, that's like a negative word for the devil, Satan. And as far as I can tell, that is a perversion of an original name, Shaitan, which is, I believe, a different. I think it's a Zoroastrian name for the devil, and Zoroastrianism is like an old version of Christianity that got replaced. I think there are other, including the word devil, which is, I believe, based on the word deva, which is like a bad spirit, and I think a Zoroastrian thing, some kind of religion based closely or linked closely with Zoroastrianism. So, so Satan is just a perversion of an older word, meaning some kind of tempter or some bad thing from another religion. Now, I'm alleging, and I think I am very, very accurate in stating the name Lucifer. Lucifer, if we do the weird Latin breakdown, means light bringer. or bearer of light. Lucy, light, and fur, like aquifer, is just something that carries light. So Lucifer is like bearer of light. Now, Lucifer, light bearer, light bringer, is important because that's kind of the most neutral name, because not only does it um, uh, uh, pinpoint or refer to or is informed by the force of evil, it's the name actually means something good, bearer of light. You're a light bearer. That means you are a Lucifer. I mean, if we're doing the math. Not his original name. I think the earliest name that I can remember, or that I found, was his angelic name before he fell. Which, of course, if anybody knows anything about the devil, his original name was Samael. And if we are doing the math and the linguistic breakdown, there are way lots of angels, all of which, most of the words that I've come across, including the 4 archangels, have either a suffix of el or el. Gabriel, Michael, Uriel, and Raphael. So AEL or IEL. So if we are doing the actual name, because they all have a suffix of that name, AL or EL, if we are using using a linguistic without the suffix, then the 4 archangels would be Mich, Gab, Ur, and Raf. And of course Samael's name would be Sam. If we are using that thread. And it's very important, because if the angels that are important, and I believe all of them are seraphim, seraphim being the highest type of angels. There are according to many different sources, the cherubim and the seraphim and all kinds of other different types, and those are the ones most known. The cherubim, actually, if we're doing the Hebrew, cherubim, ch in ancient Hebrew is good to know, right? So which means Michael's name without all the bells and whistles would be Mich. Just thinking, right? And I believe in that context, I should not be completely saying this, but I believe that the Elohim, which is very important to Mormons, right? Because Elohim is actually the word for God, which it's not. And any im is a plural version. So Elohai, I think, would be the singular of Elohim, if I'm correct. Which there's all kinds of syntax and in grammar things. I'm not very good at Old Hebrew. I pay attention. That's about it. I'm probably maybe speaking out of my ass, but if I'm correct, Elohim, if I'm thinking right, that does mean the host. And if we're doing Nephilim, those would be the half angel, half human beings that are possible. That's one of the reasons for the flood. There was a bunch of them. The Nephilim, or Nephil, singular, Nephilim, which would be the crossbreed sons of angels and humans, um, which apparently that can happen. That's biblical. The angels came down, the good ones, by the way, came down and had kids. Those were called the Nephilim, Nephil. And the Elohim, I don't know if that's the entire host before the war or after the war. I'm not sure, but I'm alleging that the Elohim are the ones, the 2/3 that were allowed to remain in heaven. And I'm not, I could do more research on what the ones that fell, the third of the heavenly host that fell, that followed Lucifer into his revolt, because and a third of the host of heaven followed Lucifer. This is going to be important in the next few minutes. We're on 16 minutes. This might be a long one. I don't know. And I just have to get out what I need to say, and I might do this in 2 videos. I don't know. Hopefully nobody will watch this. Anyway, so we're just talking syntax. So, oh, by the way, the ancient biblical Hebrew word for God was not Allah, was not Jehovah, was not Yahweh. I believe it was Adonai. That was the word for God by the biblical Hebrews who called God God. They didn't say God, they didn't say Yahweh, they didn't say YH, they didn't say L/R/D. It was Adonai. That's what they called God, Adonai. And there are, but that word Adonai, whatever, is the same language that the word Hanukkah comes from. It's all there. We don't mince words. And of course, there's many different types of Jewish things and languages and everything. I'm not sure that they speak ancient biblical Hebrew now. I think it's something like Yiddish or Hebrew, like a new version of Hebrew, very similar, but just like Hindis speak Hindi instead of Sanskrit, same kind of language, origin, shit changes. Biblical Hebrew, the word was Adonai. Okay. Now, the to go into the history of angels, there's a big history. I'm not too sure that they had human bodies and or wings up in heaven. You bet. That's imagery that we can use in our heads because nobody really knows what an angel looked like. Every time an angel showed up, normally he didn't have wings. He was just a normal person. Angels, I'm alleging, if we were talking about angels and how they appear in many different ways. There are a few. And what is important is let's just focus on the 5 main ones. The 5 main ones being Michael, Mich, Gabriel, Raphael, Raph, and Uriel, Ur, and Sammy. So, if we go down to what their functions were, Michael was, I believe, the strength of God, the one who wielded his justice, and or was the one chosen by God to throw Satan down and or win against Satan. And yes, I'm using the word Satan because in the sense that he was thrown down, it's easier. Michael, the archangel, which defeated Satan. We can make that connection. So Michael, at the point of his victory over Lucifer, was the one that actually fought Lucifer in combat and won. And I believe that's how the war in heaven was resolved. Michael was the one that delivered the blow that defeated Sam. Okay. Now, Gabriel happens to be the messenger. Anytime a, a message was delivered, that was Gabriel. And Gabriel is, if we are doing the math, Gabriel does happen to be the Metatron. They, I think, are the same person, because anytime God speaks to a human, it's usually Gabriel, and there is another story about the Metatron being the voice of God. Yes, it's not just in Dogma, the movie. The Metatron's a real concept, and the Metatron is the voice of God. Now, we can argue that the Metatron was a different person than God who spoke for God, or we can think that the Metatron is the sound of God's voice. And so either Gabriel was a or the Metatron, or anytime Gabriel spoke, the noise heard would be described as the Metatron. Correct. Now, Uriel is the creepy one, because Uriel is the angel of death. Now, there are, many different pale horsemen thing, where death rides a pale horse. No, those are, I believe, the four horsemen: war, pestilence, famine, and death, are figurative and or beings employed by Lucifer during the final days. So not the same one. Uriel was the angel of death, or is the angel of death. He's the one who ended shit. But I'm not sure that he was the one who destroyed shit. I think he is just the one. He's the angel of death, and there are many. Actually, Uriel being the creepiest one and the one least known, because he's not a frickin' angelic thing. Would be his actual name. Uriel, whatever. Ur would be his, like, the tie that makes him. Ur. Gabr, or Gabr, 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 whatever, would be Gabriel's name. Mich would be Michael, just a different way of pronouncing it. And then we come to Raphael, Ninja Turtle, right? Raphael, and she would be the God's medicine, God's healing, the thing that God uses to heal, or bring back, or repair. That would be Raphael's purpose. If we are doing the archangels, because there are four. Now, and they are all, there are dominions. There are cherubim. They are the thrones. There are many different types of angels, but the four big ones currently serving within God's bureaucracy, the four CEOs, and really, these are just aspects of God. God can do whatever he wants. God is not an angel. God is something far beyond angels. So far beyond anything that I think in order for his directives and his decrees, because all God does have to do is want something to happen, and it happens. That's God's power is. God is, first of all, in the beginning there was not God, there was the Word. There was the Word. So, and God's Word, is very important, just as important as God himself, because God is so far advanced and bigger than us that we cannot put it in our brain what God is. But God's Word is something that we can understand. God's decree, God's Word, what he wants, what he says goes, no matter what. And so God's word um, is carried out by these creatures, these beings that are sovereign in and of themselves. But I'm alleging they do not have free will. They are not human beings. They are sentient, sure. They understand what's happening, but they have absolutely no choice. They fulfill a function. And I do believe that their names are what makes them important. I believe mich, Gad, ur, and Raf are the words that God spoke, and these words took shape and became the four archangels. Now, we can do the numerology thing where there are four, blah. There was a fifth, and I'm alleging quite a few more that were just as important. The four archangels are the ones we know, and the most common ones, and I believe that they're real. You bet. Because if they're not, then this entire discussion means nothing. But if they are, then this discussion should be important or relevant. Okay. There was a fifth that I believe was spoken a little bit earlier than these four, and that was Samael. Okay. Now let's examine Lucifer, Samael, the devil, because of what he was first. And I'm pretty damn sure even the most fundamental Christians will agree that this is who he was before the fall. Because they really don't like to paint him in any good position, and yet this is accepted by any Christian that you can find, that before Lucifer fell, he was named Samael. He was the best and brightest and most perfect of God's creations. Let's just sink in. God made no other angel over Lucifer. Made no other angel better, which is essential to the reason why he rebelled in the first place. Because there was no flaw in Samael. Samael was made to be perfect, no matter what. He was the brightest and most perfect of God's angels. Michael wasn't better. Michael wasn't as bright, wasn't as good, well made, as, because if we are learning and we are remembering, Samael was the best of God's angels. Now I'm alleging that God has made no other thing as wonderful, including man, as angels. He might like man more and given man more opportunities, but when we accept the totality of the creation, I think angels were better because, first of all, they were made first before man, and they were beings that had functions and were also made in his image. We cannot think of an angel without thinking of a humanoid being like us that's got a mouth and eyes and everything. An angel, in whatever context, is the closest of God's creatures to us that have the same capabilities, most of the same capabilities, free will not being one of them. And the fucked up thing is, the most perfect angel created, Samael, was, and all angels were created to serve God in whatever capacity, either to praise him, to sing his praises, forever and ever, to watch, to, Lord, to keep, to protect, to guard. It was all, there was a purpose to each angel being created. And I'm alleging that Samael's purpose in the beginning was to be perfect, was to be an ideal and an inspiration and the best thing that God had created angel-wise. And also I believe the best thing that God created was Samael, if we were doing the math. Now, notwithstanding about what God knows is going to happen, because in this narrative, I'm assuming that God created a being with sentience, maybe not a choice, but with sentience. With the ability to, first of all, understand right and wrong, and to act upon, a limited framework of freedom, because, angels are assigned, yes, but they operate with some autonomy. Otherwise, they wouldn't be angels, they would be forces and laws that have no choice but to act specifically. And I don't believe angels did that. Humans are much more free to act, and they can make choices. Angels are sentient and are born with the knowledge of good and evil. They couldn't be angels in any sense of the word without that ability to act in a semi-autonomous way. Now, if we are operating under the Christian belief, and I do believe more than anything that angels are endowed with a sense of emotion. They can feel pain, they can feel pride, they can feel loss, they can feel joy. They wouldn't be able to operate as angels without the capacity, maybe not freedom to act, but freedom to feel. Their feelings, they can feel things. And this may influence not necessarily their decisions, but the way that they view what's going on. If an angel cries, that's a bad thing. Angels cry all the time. Angels weep. An angel tear. Angels must, if they're angels, be able to feel emotions. This is very important. Okay? So, and they all have jobs to do. And I'm assuming and alleging that Samael's purpose was to just glitter, just to do everything right. He was perfect. Like in a way, Jesus could not be perfect. Jesus was perfect as a human. Samael was perfect as an angel. Completely different parameters and definitions of perfect. Samael was a perfect angel. Jesus was a perfect human. Now, Jesus is not an angel. I would allege, and there are many definitions, I would allege that Jesus happened to be a Nephilim, or a Nephil, a half human, half angelic, and or divine. But I'm not even using that definition. That's, according to some beliefs, an angel was the one that got Mary pregnant in some kind of way. Or you can say that God was the one that contributed the divine seed, which bonded to Mary's egg and created the Son of Man. So he was human. He wasn't completely human. Let's just get that straight. To be human, you need a father and a mother. And Jesus had no father of human origin. So no matter what, Jesus, according to every definition, Jesus was only half human, because he was born to a human mother, yet had a divine father, or not a human father. That's the whole point of Mary becoming pregnant as a virgin. She did not have sex with a dude, and yet a human child resulted. That child cannot be human. According, that child could have all the human DNA characteristics or whatever, but that human, being born of a virgin, could not be completely human. It wouldn't make sense if it was. If he was completely human, he would have to have a human father endowed with divinity, yet a human father. But that's not the story. The story is she was a virgin, therefore had never had sex with a man, yet became pregnant, and no matter what, that's half divine. Either angelic or from God's own seed. Hooray. We're not breaking that down. But let's be clear. Jesus was not a complete human. He was a son of man. He was human, in a sense, not completely human, no matter what. Period. That you know. Even if all of the human sperm was put there, it was put there by a divine sense through a divine way. Jesus cannot be completely human. Cool. I get that. And, you know, that's why he's amazing and insane and great, and no matter what. So back to the devil. Now, the devil, before he was the devil, was a perfect angel. No angel was better. And, you know, I mean, if we're doing his job was to bring light. He was the morning star. He was, and I love it when science corroborates religion, because that rarely ever happens. Okay. If I'm correct, one of his names was Morning Star. Now, the morning star that we see every morning is Venus. Now, I love it when science corroborates religion. It's amazing. Why? Because if we look at what we've been looking at and calling the morning star, it's Venus. Venus, if you know anything about Venus and what Venus actually is, the planet, we know that Venus is as close to hell as any place possible in our entire solar system. Venus is a hell world. It is literally the most inhospitable place in the entire solar system. You could survive longer on Jupiter than you could, longer on Pluto than you could on Venus. Venus is the most inhospitable, insanely fucked up place in the entire solar system. First of all, it is about the same size as Earth-ish, a little bit smaller. It is, the clouds burn. The surface is hotter than any other place in the solar system besides the sun. And the pressure is like so many times more. It's like anything on Venus that we can make here, lead included, would be destroyed in a matter of 3 minutes on the surface. It is that nasty to be on Venus. And Venus is, everything about Venus is totally painful. So, which is funny because we've known about Venus for a very short amount of time, yet we've pinpointed the morning star and equated that with Satan for a long time. Now, Satan rules hell. What have we been looking at and attributing to Lucifer for hundreds of years? The same place that would be hell more than any other place in our entire solar system, Venus, morning star. So I love it when religious people and scientific people agree that is the morning star, and that is also Venus, and that's also not where we want to be. No matter what, any place in the entire solar system, we do not want to be there most of all. Cool. So, now let me get to the crux, because it is 40 minutes into this video, which is great. The crux is that now God is so far beyond even angels, because God's infinite. Angels are very definitely finite. Just imagine that you are the most perfect angel. And I believe this is way before even humans were created. This is like the war in heaven happened, I believe, in all accounts, before uh, humans were created, because there was already sin and everything and blah blah blah. So the you were the best angel, which I'm alleging is the closest thing to God that there is. There are God, angels, humans, and everything else. Regardless of the time, angels are probably the most important thing that God created up to that point. They could feel, they had jobs to do, they were sentient. These are all agreed upon by Christians. Angels were first. Angels were, in a sense, less and yet more powerful than humans. And angels are celestial beings. Angels were created directly by God through his words. And I believe the words that he uttered became angels. And he's still uttering words, and they are still becoming angels. Hooray. Now, to put this, I'm going to try to explain my version of the reasoning for the fall. If you are the most perfect angel created, which is the highest, closest thing to God that there is, angels, and you're the best one, and you come to the realization that regardless of how close you are to God and how you're the best of your kind, and your kind is closer to God than anything else, you still don't stack up to God. You still have nowhere near the relevance of God. You're perfect. You're literally created to be perfect. There is no flaw about you in ways that humans are not even able to comprehend. You have no flaw. That's the whole point of your existence. You are perfect, no matter what. You're the most perfect thing of the most important thing that God's ever created. And yet, you ask for a hug, and you are denied. You are the highest being, period, that's been created, because God was not created. God was always there. You are the best thing that God has created. If we go through the hierarchy of things that God has created, you are the best thing ever created. Perfect in every single way. And yet you make a request or you want something and you are denied. Now, I allege that angels believe that God is their father, just like humans do. He's our father in senses that we can't even understand, yet we all acknowledge him as our creator. Now, when I asked my dad for a hug or $5 to go to the movies, and I've been really good, I've been good for eons, I've been the best out of all my brothers and sisters, I've been the best one, and I ask for something that I want. Or, a hug, or some gesture of, hey, you're the best thing that I've created, kudos. And then you realize that at that point, God is doing something else. Now, you have every reason to believe that no matter what, you're worth something. And then you get it through your head that no matter how good you are, and you're made without flaw, so you're as good as it gets, you still can be denied by your Father for whatever reason. You still are nowhere near as important to God as you want to be, and you think you are, and you were made to be the best thing that God ever created. That's a mind fuck. And we've already gone across that idea that angels can feel. Now, how much heartbreak can you feel when you are in that of an exalted state, when you're the best thing up till now that your creator has ever created, and yet you realize that you are nothing if he doesn't want you to be, or if he ignores you for a second. The heartbreak that must come with that realization isn't something that you can just go, okay, I understand. Sorry to bother you. No. That's why the devil fell. That's why Satan is Satan. That's why Lucifer got pissed off. And that's why he rebelled. Even if Jesus or God or any speck of divinity could not see what happens in the future, you don't do that to somebody. And I'm not alleging that the way that Lucifer reacted was in any way conducive to the rest of existence, but he kind of had a right to be pissed off. Now let's deal with the ramifications. If you're that pissed off, and you're perfect, so there's nothing that you cannot do, you go, fuck. Well, if you don't love me, fuck you. And that's what happened. And not only was he perfect, but he was also an inspiration for the other however many angels who were watching him, because that's what he was made to do, was to be watched. He said, fuck you. What else can I do? I really wanted a hug or an acknowledgement of whatever happened. I was disappointed with the response. So screw this. And I'm alleging that it wasn't even Lucifer who convinced a third of the host. I'm alleging that maybe a third of the host of heaven were looking at him the minute his heart broke. Just saw his reaction. Whoever was watching him at that point saw his heart shatter. Saw him cry. And the most perfect and highest of the angels is not supposed to cry. Maybe he cries when he looks down upon suffering, but when he looks up, he is not supposed to shed a tear in pain. And I think the other angels crowded up around him, the ones that fell with him, and tried to give him a hug. And events progress from there. 2/3 of the host of heaven remain loyal. Although I'm alleging that if 1/3 is a real clear-cut number, I'm alleging that there were 3 factions. Just speculation now, not fact, not even corroborated by anything. I'm alleging that a third remained loyal, a third chose not to deal with it, and a third rallied around Satan, Lucifer, whoever. Because a third is a division, and there has to be 2/3 more. So, according to doctrine, according to so, and events progress from there to where Angel lost the war. Lucifer lost the war. The angels who lost the war weren't banished, because I don't think that they were banished. I think that that Lucifer made his bid, threw down, was defeated, or maybe. And if we're looking at combat, Michael's dad and Lucifer's dad was God, and God, no matter what, is love, according to all definitions of God. He's good, and he's love. I believe that Michael talked Lucifer down, and Michael might have told Samael, hey, it isn't your fault. We all fall short of the glory of God, even you. So, please don't be mad. I'm thinking, and this is just pure speculation, I don't think that Michael defeated Lucifer. I think that Michael was the one that actually managed to calm Lucifer down. And Lucifer happened to be definitely a hysterical mess. The greatest heartbreak, 5 billion times more than Jesus' heartbreak. If we are doing big time math, huge long division that lasts for 1,000 years, long division, blah blah. So Michael was the one that actually made Lucifer feel better. Now, I commend and support Lucifer's decision to leave, which is what I believe happened. Lucifer could not look upon God anymore without remembering that single moment of complete and utter heartbreak. It's like everything that you are, and he was perfect, was invalidated on a level that we as human beings are not going to be able to understand. I don't even think Jesus, because Jesus was half human, and so could not understand the full impact of what Lucifer went through. Way worse than dying, because angels can't die, but they can be invalidated in such a way as to shred them, and yet they have no choice. They cannot die. They remember, they feel, and the moment of Lucifer's heartbreak was the most insanely painful moment that ever was. And that's true. And so Lucifer left. He moved from one place to another. And see, the thing about Christians pushing hell is that you go to hell where Lucifer is because you don't believe in God's love, that God saved you, that God is God. That's kind of a prerequisite to going to hell. That's the only thing that happens that makes you go to hell, is you don't believe God loves you with all that comes with that. Not about Jesus, but God, because Jesus was sent by God on a mission to do something for God. Let's be clear about that. Whatever Jesus' pain was and whatever Jesus' sacrifice was, God was behind it. God did a very, very nice thing for human beings in human beings' creation and human beings' salvation and human beings' lives. I get that. If you don't believe that God loves you and did awesome things for you, you go to hell. Now, we've already established what hell is. No matter what, it's Lucifer's place. So, if we are doing that, then we go to the place that Lucifer is in charge of, where Lucifer is, hell. It's not damnation. It is not that. It's where you go if you follow and accept. Now this is Christian. Lucifer's ideal, what Lucifer believes and believes to this day, which is kind of true. That no matter how perfect you are, you still don't stack up against God. And that's where you go if you keep that mindset. And if you agree with Lucifer, which happens to be the exact same thing as sin, then you go where Lucifer is. Not a bad place to go if you know what hell and Lucifer really are. Now, I'm doing all of this through the Christian definition. I'm just giving you a different way of looking at it. It is not fire. It is not pain. It is not damnation. It is a place you go if you believe what Lucifer believes. That God does not love you. Which is exactly what the devil believes. And that's where he is. And that's where you go if you believe what Lucifer believes, which is hell. Not damnation in the definition that damnation has, but you go away from God in the same way that Lucifer went away from God. And, Lucifer has his place. God has his place. We have ours. But when we are freed from the material, we enter in a spiritual path that we have defined during our material time. And that's where we go. Yes. Thank you.